Yeah. So companies that are limited by guarantee, just to cement on what we've been talking about, these are companies that have limited liability. They have limited liability, which we have been talking about, saying that members, the liability of members is limited to the amount they guarantee to pay in case the company winds up. So when the opening of this company just involves the members to promise something, a guarantee. So they are limited by guarantee. So they are limited companies. And so their properties can never be confiscated if anything happens. It will only be limited to what did you guarantee that you were going to give at the point or at the time that we are winding up. That's the first difference. The second difference is they don't have a share capital. When you look at the company that we were looking at just previously, we were talking about a company, we were talking about incorporating a company. And we said once a company is incorporated and it has been declared as separate legal entity, there is a fee that they charge you for you to even reach that far. That fee is dependent on how much of money, how much of the share capital does the company have. But when we're looking at these companies that are limited by guarantee, they have no share capital. So company limited by guarantee, they do not have the share capital. They just stand as companies as they are. Apart from that, most of these companies are non-profit organizations. They are non-profit making organizations. And this is why it is even possible for them to stand out without having no share capital. They have capital, but they don't have something that they can say our amount of capital is maybe 13,000. No. So this type of a company is often used for non-profit organizations. It's non-profit making, such as charities, such as clubs. Yeah, so they depend on people guaranteeing, just like they guarantee here and there, and they depend on people donating because it's a club, it's a charity. Yeah, people donating here and there, paying those registration fees. So from those very monies is what they use to survive. These are the companies that are limited by a guarantee. Yeah. And so finally, these kind of companies, if you look at them very well, they're just companies that they just have a certain amount of money. So members of this company that is limited by guarantee, they just need to pay a specific amount in case the company winds up. So in case there's anything that happens, since they are a limited company, if anything happens, they just wind up. If anything happens, they call Mr. Rasdale, they call Miss Mwinde and everyone around, and then they just need you to pay the amount that you promised that you were going to pay. Then you move on. So those are quite the four major differences that you would highlight when you just want to differentiate this company from any other. It could be from unlimited company or it could be from an incorporated company, which is one that is limited by shares. Yeah. So we can also talk about the one that is limited by shares, just to summarize it, in relation to what we are just from talking about, which is a company limited by guarantee. So when we're looking at a company that is limited by shares, we know that number one, it has limited liabilities. So because it is different from a company limited by guarantee, we know automatically that it has share capital. It has a share capital, which is divided obviously into shares. Yeah. And then this kind of a company, this type of a company that is limited by shares, it's the most used and the most common. So you won't, for example, Mr. Rasdale, you won't go around open up a company that you want that company and you want that company to be a club or a charity. In most cases, most of these companies that we've seen open, they fall under the ones that is limited by shares, and not neither the unlimited or the one that is limited by guarantee, which is non-profit making. No. Yeah. So you can also highlight that to say it's the most common, most used. They have share capital and they have limited liabilities. And then, yeah. So who owns the company? The company is owned by who? By the shareholders. Those that have shares in that company are the ones that own that company. And it's the shareholders that have the voting rights to either vote for this director out, vote for this director in, vote for these goods in, vote for these goods out. And ultimately, because for them they're a profit-making corporation, they have dividends. So for them, they have shareholders receive dividends, which are profits of the companies, which are profits of the company. So these are also the differences that you would highlight them. They have dividend, they have share capital, they're the most used. Shareholders own this company, they have limited liability. You can highlight all those when you are differentiating it from a company that is limited by guarantee, which is non-profit making, not very commonly used compared to this one. They don't have dividend. They are not profit making. Where are they getting the dividend from? Yeah. And then finally, the one that you now asked me about. So the first thing first is that these companies are unlimited companies. They are limited. Companies have unlimited liability, while companies limited by guarantee and shares have limited liability. So these companies, these companies, the unlimited companies, they're companies that have unlimited liabilities. They are liable. And for that reason, in as much as they are companies and they have unlimited liabilities, they are not commonly used. They are few. If they are used today in this day and age, then they could be 1 out of 10. Because why? Yeah. And then companies limited by shares are often used for profit-making businesses, while these companies are just mostly non-profit organizations. They are unlimited. It could be a non-profit organization. That's the nearest. And also we can add that because they are a unlimited company, they don't have share capital. Yeah, so you can pick a few differences that we have highlighted about a corporate company, an incorporated entity. We can just pick a difference from there, then we add it to the unlimited ones. Yeah, and also the ones that is limited by guarantee, which is a non-profit making. So I just wanted to give the three sides of the story before I talk about the promoters in this regard. I just wanted to give these highlights so that as we are moving on to the next topic, which is promoters, we can have the idea of the three. Yeah, so I want to hear if you have any questions concerning what I've just explained about the differences of the three, and then we can move to promoters, and then we can tackle our question that we ended with last week at the end of the session. So I want to hear from you, Mr. Rasdale. Do you have any questions pertaining the three kinds of corporations, incorporated companies, and why are they different? I want to hear from you.
Okay, I think I'm clear.
Okay.
I have no question at the moment.
All right, that is good then. Okay, so if you have no question, yeah, since you are going to, at your own free time when you'll be listening to the recording, if you were not writing down, maybe you can just write them down so that if you meet a question that is in line with such, you can know how to highlight the differences. Yeah, I hope that is clear.
Yes.
Yeah, so I wanted to move to looking at promoters of the company, something that is very, very interesting when you're looking at company law and something that you should be aware of. So now we are on the ground that we now know how to open a company. You and me have understood where to go, who to ask, what documents we need. So now we want to know who should open a company is where we are going. So this man, this person, this lady, this one we call a promoter. So we want to talk about this promotion, promoters of a company. Where do they stand? What are they to companies? Yeah. So basically, promotion of a company really is just concerned with taking the steps necessary for incorporation. So promotion, when we talk about promotion and in relation to company law, it could mean something else if we're looking at marketing today and we're talking about promotion, or if we're looking at human resource management and talking about promotion, it could mean something different. But when we're looking at company law and promotion, what we're just basically talking about there is just concerning the steps that are necessary for you to incorporate, for you to register a company. That's the whole idea of promotion. So now these promoters, from the word promotion, are just involved in one way or the other in the incorporation of the company. So it could be that Mr. Rasdale today, he's very acquainted with the knowledge. He has all the processes in his hands, such that if he is given an opportunity to open a company for a person, he is going to be called a promoter in that regard, because he's involved in one or the other way of incorporating a company. It could be asking from him, it could be him doing the actual thing. It could be even him selling his company to a person or an organization or even his properties, because this Mr. Razio has passed through UNZA, his lent company law. Now he's even able to start opening companies for people. I've seen adverts on Facebook where somebody just opened the company to start opening companies for another person. They open a business, and then that business is in charge of opening companies for others who don't know. Have you ever seen such a thing?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's not really a small thing. It's something that is big, where there are just people that are so interested in opening this company, but maybe I did medicine. You understand? I won't be like Mr. Rasdale, who's so educated in this whole idea of companies, businesses, because his line of study is business. My line of study is pharmacy. So maybe I need a promoter to come through for me and help me understand how I would open up this company. So now the promoter's duty is just to show me the lines and the processes that I need to go through. So as a promoter, as Mr. Razdale, who we are going to use as a promoter today, it is your duty to do a very serious study when he comes to you with his business idea. You do a very serious study to assess the feasibility of the business idea. How feasible is it? Can it stand? Does this business even make sense? Sometimes we just wander around when we want to open up businesses, or because we're excited, we are on social media, we have a lot of people or a lot of our peers, our friends opening businesses, and we are just prompted to say, I want to open a business. But a business comes in with so many things, and there are other businesses that are not feasible. They cannot be done. When you reach your fourth year, you'll be told, you start doing your research, and then there are other research topics that you are going to present. For example, I want to research on this, the bank. They will just ask you one question, And from that one question that they will ask you, you will know that my question here is not feasible. I can't access this data anywhere. It's not something that can be done. So it will be a duty of you, the promoter, even as you are opening a company for this person, you have to check the feasibility of the idea that you have been presented to, such that even as you go to Parker, that your idea should stand out. Because like we said, as you're incorporating, there should be the name, there should be the address, and all those things. If you have ever tried to open a company, you find out that just upon entering a name, a lot of names will come because ideas every day are being popped. People are doing different things. But sometimes what really goes on is that people, they end up opening companies on paper, and yet they fail to do the things physically to show what they've done. They fail. Why? Because most of them just open without going under the feasibility process, where we find out, where we know the do's and the don'ts. They don't go the other way. They go the opening of the company, they have the name, everything cleared, and then they have nowhere to start because they did those things before they opened. Yeah. So now this promoter, apart from them knowing how feasible, which is you're also going, it means you're going to know the finance of the story, you're going to know all the parts, all the gaps that a business needs for that business to be able to survive. You're going to have to look at the assets that the business needs. You're going to look at the capital, which is also part of the assets that the business needs. Could it be we need computers? Could it be we need this and this, depending on what you're doing? Yeah. Apart from that, we are still talking about this guy or this lady who is a promoter. So we said they should do a feasibility analysis over there. They should access. They are the ones in charge of incorporating these companies on behalf of another. So they're saying that a promoter must not really be a person that has a qualification. You need no qualification to be a promoter. What will just distinct you from any other is that you have the information. So age won't limit you, nothing will limit you for as long as you are a person that has the information. You don't need to go to Parker and show them that, oh, maybe this and this, I'm the president of this and this, for them to give you access to their portal where you can open your company. No. But for as long as you know how to use their portal, if you don't, you can go to them. They will teach you what to do and what not. For as long as you can do that, then everything goes on well. So basically, you need no qualification. You need to do a feasibility analysis, and it is your duty as a promoter to incorporate a company, yeah, and bring it into life such that it should be able to exist and be counted among the companies. Apart from that, when you as a promoter, you're satisfied with all the practicability of a business idea, then what do? You take necessary steps for the opening or the assembling of the business. So it just requires, I think the first part that you would want to note is that you highlight the fact that the promotion is just the mere steps that are necessary to incorporate a business. Then because of promotion, there comes a promoter who is not supposed to be qualified, who is just supposed to go hard on research, feasibility analysis to get the why, how, when, where we're going to do it. Those questions, when they're answered, then we're good to go because he already has the information. Yeah. So it is just the whole idea is just important if you can only go with the feasibility analysis where he finds out everything. So that's all about what a promoter is. In summary, that's how you would define this promoter, and that's where this name of him being a promoter comes from in relation to company law. maybe one would be confused when we're looking at something different. So I want to know, have you gotten something out of the idea of being a promoter? And if you have, good. But do you have any questions if you have not?
Not really a question. I'm
Uh-huh.
just trying to think of this promoter in a different way.
Uh-huh. You can go ahead. Sure. Mm-hmm.
Yes, I know you were talking about company law,
Mm-hmm.
and if you were to go to business law, we
Mm-hmm.
looked at agents.
Yeah.
So yeah, the work that they do, these promoters, it's similar to the
Mm-hmm.
work of agents, not so.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Only that maybe in business law, we are told that agents are there uh, to work for managers. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, the agents in the company are managers who
Yeah.
do the work on behalf of the shareholders.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's the line of thought
Oh,
that
the
I
line of
had.
thought. Oh, okay.
Yes, I'm confirmed, but I've understood. Don't
Okay, that's
worry.
good.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. If that's the case, then we can move. So yeah, just to comment, they are as I will be going down, because right now I want to talk about what their functions are. You find out that most of the functions are similar. And I think I'll mention a part of an agent at some point. Yeah. But in this regard, we just umbrella them in promotion, and they're called promoters.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's now look at what are the functions of promoters. What are the functions of these promoters? So I want to get it from you. Just from what we have talked about, how we've said promotion is, what we said a promoter should do, what do you think, or what would you guess are the functions of this promoter?
Mm, from your explanation,
Uh-huh.
I think it's the duty of the promoter
Mm-hmm.
to to find the the name of the company. Since
Mm-hmm.
the person who wishes to open an account, like you said, it's like doesn't know how to go about
Yeah.
opening the company. So it's the promoter who knows the way about
Mm-hmm.
of opening the account. So the issue of searching for the company name,
Mm-hmm.
opening of a company, registration, I think it's the duty of the promoter, and also mm, to to help the person who wishes to open account know how
Mm-hmm.
much capital is needed for the business.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think those are the few points that I can think of.
Yeah. That's very good. That's excellent. Yeah. So from just from the idea that a promoter is supposed to go through a feasibility analysis for before the business comes to life, for the idea that you present to them. That is exactly just what you've said. So they will go through the idea of knowing about the business, starting from capital. It will lead us to, after the capital is okay. Now let's talk about the name. So the name of the company, it is a promoter's duty to know about it. Also, the location. Where are we going to be located? How are we going to be registered? The amount of capital that we need. How is it going to be like? Who are the brokers or the underwriters of capital issue? Who is our broker in this? Who are we going to use as a broker? Because when you go to, for example, you go to Lucy, we have different than the billion. I don't know if we can call them billion, but there are a lot of brokers there. So you just have to choose one. Who are we going to use? Who's going to know all that? The promoter. So it is also his duty, just like you have said, it is his duty, the promoter's duty, to agree to act as the first director of the company. You understand that a company is run by directors and not shareholders. No, shareholders, they own it, but directors are the ones that do what? That run it. So in the first place, before we have the directors, what do? We use a promoter to act as our director because he acts as the person that knows most of the things. So far different from us who are just there listening and learning from the promoter themselves. It is him to conduct necessary negotiations for the purchase of maybe the business. For that business to be registered, it is him doing the negotiations, which is the negotiation, not really that he's going to just negotiate so that he should get it at a lower price or something like that, but the conversations that should be going on as you go to Pakra, those are negotiations. As you be meeting the brokers, the conversations that you're going to be had, as you be spearheading everything that will be going on, as you are trying to birth this idea into reality, it will be the promoters' business to go through or to undergo those negotiations. So you undergo negotiations. So it is your duty to decide the name, the location, the amount of capital, the broker. I agree to be the first director. So there are quite a number of duties that a promoter has, apart from just these ones that we've talked about. We can talk about also the idea that you are supposed to know even the bank that you're going to be using. Who are going to be your auditors in your company? Who's going to audit you? Those auditors, who's going to be your legal advisor? Sometimes we can take it so lightly as we open these companies and just forget about those things. Maybe we didn't have the proper direction, but if you have a promoter, it is your duty to know who we are going to call if at all anything happens right now. If we're saying that we are a limited company, it means that our properties cannot be confiscated if anything. So there should be a legal person who should stand on behalf of the company if at all we have failed to pay debt, because being a limited company tells us that we're able to sue and be sued. So it is now the duty of this promoter to know, okay, who's our legal advisor here? Who's our auditor here? Now, it is also his duty to arrange the minimum subscription that the company is going to use. It is also his duty to arrange for the registration and to obtain also a certificate of incorporation. We arrange, that's like some sort of negotiations that go up until the idea that I present to you, Mr. Razdell, as my promoter, until it comes to birth, until it is a company that is now limited by shares, until it has been registered. It will be his duty, her duty, to ensure that she arranges or he arranges the registration of my company. So it is also his duty to arrange for even the preparation of how things are going to go, the advertisement of the issue of this capital. the issues of we want to issue out these shares, what is going to happen? So you find out that most of the things, or I would say most of the work that people do, the execution of the work is just, the execution is, I would say that is 10% of 90% of the execution is not done when people are executing, but 90% of the execution is done when people are preparing. I hope I'm making sense. So most of the things that people do, for example, most of the things that the promoter is going to do, such that even the company should come to life to be called an incorporated company, that work was done before, because we sat down to know the name, we prepared enough to go into the idea of us being a company that has been now incorporated, to sit for the name, to sit for the what. So all the bank, the auditor, the legal advisor, to arrange for everything, the capitals, all that which we need, all that preparation, such that when it comes to execution, it will just need me to call Mr. Razel. Mr. Razel, I'll be going to Pakwa today. I'll be going so and so today. I'll be doing this and this today. You find out that even just in a week, everything would be done because you had a promoter side by side telling you what to do. So those are the duties of the functions of a promoter. That's how the promoter is supposed to function. Those are the functions of this guy or this girl called a promoter, who we've said must not have a qualification, but must be intelligent enough to do a feasibility analysis, such that they have all the information at the tips of their hands as they're advising. For example, they're advising Ms. Luvula to open up the company. So those are the functions that are common under a promoter. I want to know, apart from what you've said and what I have said, do you think there are many other? Do you think you can still? I think there are still many other. If I was going to act as a promoter today, I think that's when you would know now. Because from what we're getting here, we're just getting most of the things that have been written in books and whatnot. But I think when you're exposed to the industry and you act as a promoter yourself, the definition and also the functions that you would give us can be quite more even different, not really different, but we can add more to what we've said because we are doing it really. But being a student and for what we just want to know, I think these are enough for us to know, where we know the legal advisor, where we know the bank, and other things. So I was asking you, apart from the ones that we've mentioned and the ones that you mentioned, do you think there are still others that you've just thought about right now that you want to lay it out as we are conversating right now?
And
Okay,
the
so
only
it's
thing which is coming to my head, I think it's just a summary of what you said. In short, this promoter is the advisor to the person who wishes to open an account, to incorporate the company, right?
think about how you defined it, who's a promoter, then you just start writing down the functions because you know what a promoter is. Would that be
Yeah.
possible for you?
Yes. Say
Okay.
again.
I'm saying if you were going to, maybe I meet you, I'm like, Mr. Razdale, yes, madam, I want you to just give me a glimpse of the functions of a promoter. Just 5 of them. That's a random question. Would it be possible for you to give me the answers without even maybe going back to the notes? Would you do that?
I think after learning today, I'll be able to.
Okay. Yeah,
Yes.
which is very good. Yeah. So it's just something that we should just take on the ease and just understand. Just put yourself in the shoes for you to just get it right. Put yourself in the shoes and act like a promoter. So if I'm a promoter, if I'm supposed to open up a company for a person, then what should be my function? Where should I stand? What should I know? And what does that person expect of me? When you answer those questions, then you have answered the functions of a promoter. In finishing, in finishing, I want us to just highlight a bit of the duties of a promoter. So we're talking about the functions. So now let's look at his duties, her duties. We can talk about 1 and 2 and even maybe 3, depending on the time, and then we can move. So a promoter also has duties apart from the functions. What are the duties of a promoter? If Miss Lubula today was going to act as a promoter, what could be her duties? So this promoter cannot be allowed, or it is the duty of a promoter not to make any secret profit out of the person that he's working for. If any secret profit is made in violation of this rule, the company may, upon discovering it, compel the promoter to pay that amount or surrender that profit. So, as you are going to be opening, so the first duty of you promoter, which is saying you're not allowed to make any secret profit out of the person that you're opening a company for. This is just trying to mean that this is questioning the dignity and how the person is self-developed. Because sometimes people tend to be selfish because they have the information and they would want to exploit the other party that has no information. But it is your duty as a promoter, instead of exploiting, to protect by not trying to gamble or make profit out of somebody else's ignorance. Which means that even as a promoter, you know that you can't work for free. Therefore, before you even go to the extent of opening, there should be something, there should be an argument that is going to prompt you to do this job. So the assumption is that you and that person have agreed and you have accepted to be a promoter. So how is it going to be that you're going to still make secret profits from that person? So that in itself is a crime. So it is your duty to be faithful to duty and to have dignity, not to do dubious ways on how you're going to gain your money. That's the first one. So this promoter must not make unreasonable use of his position and must take care to avoid anything which has appearance of undue influence or fraud. As a promoter, I should make sure that all the things, this position that I've been given, it should be held with so much, such that there should be nothing that should be that they should trace of fraud. It looks like it's kind of similar with the first one where I said as a promoter you don't have to make any secret profit. So apart from making secret profit, maybe there's also just fraud of, it could be fraud of the goods that are not even making profit. fraud of whatsoever that which you want to use, that which you would want to lie. Maybe you manipulate the receipts, manipulate the data, do whatsoever. There should be no such trace. And it is your duty as a promoter to ensure that you must not make unfair, unreasonable use of your position. Yeah. So you have to make sure that your position is used wisely. This one I would want to pause here and ask you a question, which is kind of political, but anyways, this is company law. I think we can entertain the question as we are ending. I want to find out from you, what would you say about Mr. HH firing Mr. Galinkombo?
Mm.
What's your comment about what we are seeing on social media? And everyone is like, oh my God. What's your take on that one?
In relation to the news or the way it happened or the reasons behind?
Well, just in relation to, okay, let me just say, if you've been following the news, you know very well that Mr. Galinkombo is one of those prominent people who fought for UPND before it came into
Yeah.
power, such that he even went to prison for it.
Mm.
So now, today, he's been fired out of UPND
Mm.
by the president. So now, my question is, it's not even a question. I just want to hear from you. If you were going to, okay, not really if you're going to be Mr. Galinkombo, but what would you say in that? What would be your comment in such a situation? Or in that situation, are we going to say, who can we point fingers to anyone being bad? Can we say HH is bad? Or can we say, what would you just say yourself?
Ah, that question is difficult to answer.
Yeah.
Reason
Mm-hmm.
being I'm not in a position to really know the reasons
Yeah.
why he was fired. But of course,
Uh-huh.
just him being fired, of course, it was a shock to me. When I
Yeah.
heard, like you've said, he was a prominent man
Mm-hmm.
in that party, and I think the government is where it is right now because of his efforts.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very difficult to comment. So I can't really point fingers to say the president was wrong or Mr. Nkombo was wrong, unless
Yeah.
if the papers are reviewed. Yes.
Okay, yeah. I love how you said. I love your stance. Anyway, um, I was just trying to marry that whole situation, just a glimpse
Yeah.
of it to what we're talking about. Yeah, so for
Okay.
him, nothing has been reviewed yet and whatsoever. So, well, people are commenting based on what they're thinking, how they're
Mm.
assuming things should be and whatnot. Yeah,
Yes.
I personally, I was when I saw that, like I can't lie, I was
Mm.
touched, and I was trying
Yeah.
to wonder to what extent, what did he really do such that everything he did was just cancelled out, and then he was just supposed to be fired. Was there no any other alternative maybe that would have been better? But
Yeah.
unfortunately, yeah, everything just happened how it happened. So I was just trying to relate that to what we're talking about right now. Right now, we are talking about promoters and we are talking
Mm.
about their duties. And one of the
Mm.
duties has been that this promoter must not be allowed to make secret profit out of the company without the company knowing. So now, from what I'm just from saying, and in relation to this, I want you to just understand, like, from what I've said, to say a promoter is the one that starts a company from zero. You said something from zero. You make it grow until it's a limited company. And then you should come to be sued because you made secret profit out of a company that you birthed, that you nurtured to life. That's some question of integrity out there. Like that's some question that even as they are suing you, you can laugh about it because you sat down to write the name for that company. You sat down to plan for the location. You asked questions for that company to come to life, for that idea to be birthed. And then they should tell you that you made something, you frauded here and there, and this is wrong. So yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to comment that way and tell you that it is one of the duties of a promoter to stand on the true principles and ensure that they don't make secret profit out of the company. And anything that has appearance of fraud should not be caught anywhere near them. Because as they are executing their duties, they should uphold dignity and ensure that everything that they do it in the right way. Otherwise, I'm so glad that you joined class. I have another class right now that is supposed to start at 20. I will send this recording and then we're going